What's up, everyone? Clark Glassford, founder of My Practice Interview, where I help you land your dream job. And today we're joined by Lucy Owens, personal stylist, who is here to give all you women out there personal style advice on how to make an incredible first impression at that interview. Whether you're applying for a business job or more of a casual job, Lucy has your fashion advice. But before we get to Lucy, you're here for a reason. You are here for interview coaching, how to get through that interview, how to write a resume, how to get fashion and be ready for that interview to make that first impression. You've come to the right place. My YouTube channel hosts videos every single week. So like, subscribe, share with your friends. Tons of free information there for you. Also included in the links below is a copy of My Practice Interview ebook called My Practice Interview. It's a step-by-step guide that walks you through how to prepare for your job interview, how to navigate all the landmines and pitfalls that you may find yourself in an interview, so you get right through and you hear those magic words, "You're hired." It's a free download. You have no excuse not to get it, so download that now. But we're here for Lucy. Let's get to her. Here we go. All right, Lucy, thank you so much for being here today. I know we've gone back and forth to arrange this webcast, and it's awesome to have you. Thank you for being here. You are the personal style coach. You're going to give us some guidance on how women out there, because I'm not the expert on that area, how they can prepare for their job interview to make an amazing first impression. So I really appreciate you being here.
It's great to be here, Clark, and this is my jam. I love talking about this. I work with female professionals and leaders, and I think this can be a bit of a landmine sometimes for them, trying to navigate all the different options. So yeah, really happy to be here and have a conversation with you.
So amazing. So to get us started here, how have you got into this field of work, being a personal stylist, working with women on their fashion and building their confidence for their personal and career goals? How have you landed here?
Yeah, I guess so. My career actually did start off in the fashion industry, and I was always, I always absolutely loved clothing. I loved dressing up, and I always knew that there's a power behind clothing, and that power is the self-confidence that it can help us feel. And so I started off my career in fashion industry, and I was lucky enough to work in the head office of some beautiful brands, and I worked for some gorgeous luxury brands. And then, I ended up taking a bit of a turn slightly, and I went into more corporate roles and more corporate communication roles. And I guess my skills in being able to present myself well, in knowing how to dress for not just the job that I was in, but the job that I wanted, really helped me progress up the career ladder. It helped me to progress up the career ladder quite fast. And I was always interacting with very senior people in companies, CEOs, GMs, people of the exec team. And it was something that I always felt quite confident and comfortable with. I got to a point, I guess, in my career where I wasn't, completely fulfilled in the corporate roles that I was doing. And I took a bit of a career break, and I realized that my superpower is actually being able to dress for success. And, that was then I felt what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach women how they could have that same level of confidence, that same level of presence through their dress, and help them navigate the corporate world.
I love how you said superpower there. It's amazing. And you find your niche and you find your superpower, which clearly you did, which is great. And now you're giving that back to the world. And you also said confidence and building that confidence. And is that the key? Is that the secret sauce here when it comes to making that first impression at the interview process? Is having the confidence, and part of that confidence, on my side, when I'm coaching people, it's coaching to build confidence and how to tell their story at the interview. But also part of that confidence comes from, how you feel you're coming across, which can be the fashion you're wearing into that room, feeling confident in your own skin and your own clothes. Is that what it's all about?
I think it's a huge part of it, and particularly for women, I think that we have a strong emotional connection to what we wear, and I think it really is make or break when it comes to confidence. You either look at yourself in the mirror, and that gives you kind of this positive feedback loop of I like what I see, I've got this, or it doesn't. So yes, I think a huge part, particularly in the interview process, is to have that self-confidence, because for most people interviews are nerve-wracking, right? We've got
Absolutely,
we've got to all try to sell ourselves in a fairly short amount of time, talk about ourselves, why we're the right person. So I think the confidence and feel not having to worry about what you're wearing, that is a huge thing. So I think the confidence is a massive part. But then I would also say, and you touched on this, it's kind of like telling your story, right? For me, that is what your clothing helps you do as well. It helps you communicate a story to other people and helps them give them an insight into who you are. And I think that is super powerful in an interview process to help you stand out and to help you be memorable.
Yeah, so exactly. I loved how you said that, just take away that uncertainty, right? By knowing that you're wearing what's required for the interview to give that first impression, you take away that uncertainty that, oh, am I coming across properly for this meeting today? Are they looking at me thinking I shouldn't have worn that, or this is not the right outfit for this environment? You take that away from them, and you automatically have that level of confidence, so you can focus on the other aspects of your interview. It's just such a great point. I absolutely love it. So client comes to you. What's your process? How do you assess what they need, and based on their budget and the type of job they're applying for? Yeah, just describe your process a little bit. I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, so Clark, I came up with, I created a 6-step, I call it a style IQ framework. And it is really to build up, teach, and empower women to have the skills they need to kind of be their own stylist for life. So, we would always start with, I guess, looking at where they're at. What is their image at the moment? What are their goals? And what is the image that is going to actually support them to reach those goals? And, clients that come to me, they might be wanting to go for an internal promotion. They might be wanting to change industries. They might be going from quite a corporate industry into something like IT, which is a totally different way of dressing. They might be establishing their own businesses, and suddenly they're the face of that business.
Yes.
So we'd always be doing a really good, look at where they're currently at and have a really clear idea around what's the image that we're trying to create for them.
Right.
And then I kind of walk them through step by step, all the kind of crucial aspects that matter to their image. So we would, look at and define what are their signature colors. We'd really define their personality and how we can express that through their clothing. And, the big one for women, we'd figure out their body shape.
Sure.
Can be really tricky for women, and looking at what are the styles that are going to really flatter them best. It really is, it's a very step-by-step systematic approach, that, as I said, like, it's designed to give them the tools for them to be their own stylist.
But what I really like about your approach, although you have this step system, it doesn't sound cookie cutter. Of course, it's tailored to the client, the
Correct.
industry they're applying for, the type of role they're applying for, the body shape, everything about that is tailored specifically to them, which is obviously so important. So, I think that's an amazing approach. Now, we're talking about industries, and looking at the various industries that people can be applying to jobs, and kind of how I break it down is there's 4. One is on the really formal business side of things, then there's more on the casual business side of things, casual work, and then labor type work, warehouse type work, things like that. So I kind of break it down into 4 categories. I'm hoping we can go through what you would be recommending just in general terms. I know this is, your approach isn't cookie cutter. It's very specific to the individual. But when we're talking about those 4 areas, and let's just start with that formal business environment. So very kind of corporate world, on the male side, I know what that is. It's kind of
Mm.
suit and tie. But on the female side, what would you be recommending as the standard, or at least the go-to, if you're applying in an environment like that? What should they be wearing to a job interview?
Yeah, so I think where you are in that formal environment, it is more of those tailored sort of classic pieces that we would
Yes.
want to be choosing. So that might be, it doesn't have to be a two-piece suit. I think kind of almost for women at least, the days of kind of a two-piece suit are almost kind of
Right.
gone now. We don't see that. So there's definitely more options, I think, for women now. But I think in those particular situations, we would be still going for something that's got clean lines, that is tailored. It might be a blazer, but it might be paired with a soft blouse or a dress or something. So yeah, definitely I would still say that a blazer is appropriate in those sorts of environments.
Would there be a color you'd recommend? Is there a certain color kind of palette that you'd say stay within this range? That's kind of your safe zone if you're not sure?
Yes, absolutely. So in those more formal corporate environments, navy is always a great choice. A lot of people will default to black. Black, contrary to kind of what everyone sort of thinks, it just doesn't look good or suit everyone. And in an
Right.
interview, I think it can actually look like the safe default choice, and you've chosen it because you didn't know what else to wear. So I would say that navy is often a better choice. It's still formal. It still works in those, a lot of those industries are a little bit more conservative that have got those type of dress codes. So navy still works very, very well. Those more sort of traditional colors we're going for, it could be a gray, so we're keeping to kind of those key neutrals. I would say instead of going for, perhaps any of those more very brightly colored, more, fashion type colors.
For sure, for sure. And I think with those fashion type colors, because even on the guy's side of things, if you're familiar with the work environment that you're applying for, and that is, a commonly accepted thing, great. I mean, you've done your research,
Yes.
going in with something a bit more flashy is going to be perfectly acceptable. But if you're not sure, sticking with the tones you've just described there, the navy blues, that's your safe spot. You're not going to offend anybody or catch anyone off guard with something too flashy. Now, on the us guys, we got it easy in certain aspects, because when it comes to like footwear and shoes, you're dealing with a loafer, you're dealing with a business shoe. Hopefully your shoes match your belt, a black belt, black shoes, brown belt, brown shoes, and you're probably, as long as they're polished, you're probably pretty good. You women, you've got a whole bunch of other options there to choose from. So what are you recommending on that front?
Yeah, look, I guess that probably, if we're talking about a more formal environment where you are dressing in a way where you've got something that's tailored, you've got something, where you've got a blazer or something, then what is going to look appropriate for that is some sort of heel. Now that we don't need to be, trying to walk around in 6-inch stilettos, but it does need to be some sort of smart shoe that is going to be, complete that look. So again, that might be a black, it might be a navy pump, it might be a neutral kind of shoe. And I think the most important thing is that shoe is in good condition.
Yes.
So there's a shoe where it's got a heel that's not quite right, and maybe it's making a clacking sound, or that shoe is scuffed and is not looking polished, that will just let down the whole look. So it's one of the first places that we kind of go up and down, and we kind of end up at the shoe. So you want to make sure that that is actually really supporting your overall look.
Oh, it's great, with polished shoes in good condition, and things like you said that aren't distracting from your overall appearance. That's part of
Right.
that first impression, and so you don't want a little thing like that that is so easily to correct taking away from that. So no, awesome advice. So shifting gears a little bit here, that casual business environment, and where I'm looking there is kind of that IT world, the tech world, where you're not required to wear a suit and tie to work every day. Well, on the male side anyway. What do you recommend for women applying in those types of environments? We're still a business world, but it's a lot more on the casual side. So, is it still the blazer and heels, or is it something different?
I think this is where a lot of my clients will, work in those sorts of environments. And I think this is where the bulk of the confusion is, because as you say, like for guys, it's a lot easier. For women, there's way more choices, and it can be tricky to work out what is appropriate.
Right.
There's also within that industry, Clark, like there are, slightly different levels between different companies. It's not all the same. So it's definitely worth doing your research first. There is no, shame in asking a HR manager, what is the expectation of dress, or what is your dress code, and what is appropriate for an interview? I often tell my clients to get some insights from a HR manager about that. I think you can often get an idea of what a company's dress code is going to be as well by their kind of external, their website, their external things that they have. Ask around, people, but it's something that is, I guess, going to be sort of a safe sort of option. I would say, smart blouses always work. You could do that with a blazer, but I wouldn't be going for something that is a real traditional corporate kind of blazer or a suit, because you tend to then look like you kind of don't know the environment so much, so you can look a little bit out of touch. So it might be a smart pant, you've got a blazer, but that's not necessarily a matching two-piece suit. And you can bring in some color. It might be a colored blazer, it might be a print or a colored blouse that's got more, a little bit more personality to it. You can, have a look at some, skirts again that are a little bit more on fashion versus just kind of your traditional corporate pencil kind of skirt that all the women wear. We might be doing something like a midi skirt, or a style that's a little bit more contemporary.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then one of the key things you said there is to ask. And I advise my clients this all the time. Just ask. I don't think I've ever met an HR manager that would be offended by asking a very, very reasonable question like that. Which is, what's the standard for a dress for the interview? Or what is the dress attire in the workplace? It shows you're interested. It shows you're keen. You can start, that conversation by saying, look, I've done some research, looked on your website. It looks like you all follow a bit more of a business casual type work attire. Is that right? Should I be wearing that type of style to the interview? It's a great piece of insight that gives you peace of mind when you get to that interview, knowing that you're not either overdressed or underdressed for the interview. You've got that information, and it also starts that, in my mind, starts that really good first impression with the HR manager or the hiring manager or the recruiter, whoever you're talking to, that you're really keen and interested in this position. So I really liked that comment there.
Yeah. And I think, if even after all that you're still kind of not sure, I would always say still err on the side of caution and dress slightly above than slightly below what you think it might be, because if you're a little bit overdressed, that tends to come off a lot more favorably than if you're a little bit underdressed.
Yeah, great point there. So if we switch into another type of role here, so more of a casual environment, and where I look at casual environments, are jobs where you're not necessarily in that corporate office type world. So it could be at a store, at the store kind of level, retail store level, could be at a restaurant, could be at a coffee shop. Those types of environments that are just seen as more casual dress attire for the workplace. Maybe there's a uniform involved, that type of thing. What would you recommend there?
I think often in those sorts of workplaces, there definitely are uniforms involved, or otherwise there's kind of like, if it's not, a given uniform, there's almost like an unwritten sort of uniform, right? And that can often be, jeans and denim are totally appropriate in those environments. I would have a look around though and see what's the style of denim that's appropriate, because we've got ripped denim now, we've got, lighter denim is a lot more casual than, for example, something like a darker denim. So I would be having a look around and kind of seeing, what are the other people doing? So you look like you're appropriate still within that environment. Smart tees and, things like sweaters are absolutely fine as well for those sorts of environments. And, when I say smart, they are, kind of not it looks like a piece of clothing that is in good condition and it still looks polished. And I think that's the thing when you're casual, we still want to make sure that our overall image looks appropriate and it looks professional. And it often does come down to, with casual clothes, just some of those little grooming things. So making sure things are clean, they're ironed, they're in good condition. That's what really makes a casual outfit still look professional.
Yeah, I think the word I picked up on there from you was smart, right? Having that smart. Yes. So if you're going to wear a pair of jeans, make sure they come across as smart, not that you've kind of just rolled out of bed, thrown on something that's been crumpled off the floor, or a hoodie or something like that, really just looks like you haven't put in any effort for coming to apply for the job that you're applying for. Again, you call it, do your research, go to the store, see what people are wearing. Err on the side of caution. You've got to dress up a little bit, better than dressing down too much. But if you're going to be wearing jeans, a nice tee, or a sweater of some sort, in my mind, those things should be pressed. They should look, they should look nice, at least on the higher end of the kind of the fashion scale a little bit. So you're making a good, solid impression. It's not look like, well, you've just kind of thrown something on and walked in with you're ready to apply for a job or come into an interview, and it kind of gives that impression that you're not really that interested in the job. So I think those are really good tips there. Now, on the labor side, so that's really our last category, is a lot of jobs on the labor side. So whether you're working in warehouse or kind of farming or areas like that, trades type jobs, those things, a lot of women in those roles applying for very good positions within companies that have those roles. Probably not coming in a full blazer type suit, but what would you recommend to them?
Yeah, so I guess, in some of those roles, and I've actually had some clients who are working for sort of, manufacturing type companies, but they're in the office, right? So, on many days, they're actually having to go down to the factory floor, put on maybe high vis and, those sorts of things. And there's some really special things that we have to look in, at those particular roles, because it's important, one, that, there's safety to consider. So things like no open shoes, they don't work. They need to be closed toe. It's important, I think, that people in those roles, even when they are in those office roles of those sorts of companies, can still be seen as approachable to the people on the factory floor. So, blazers can be okay, but it would be a more relaxed, casual style of blazer. We might pair that with a tee, and that again might be with a smart jean, if for those sorts of management roles. And I guess for the actual laborers, Clark, that's not necessarily, not really people that I've tended to work with before. But I would say, I imagine that a lot of them do already have uniforms.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for those environments, it's again, just being smart. Do your research, wear smart clothing attire. And if the environment is very much jean based, t-shirt based, you're probably going to get a uniform. Maybe it's, some sort of polo type shirt that you'll end up wearing. There. It's still important to go to that interview to make a solid first impression, whether you are working in that office environment like you described, or you are working on the warehouse floor, or you are, performing in a trade type role. Again, it's not looking like you've just thrown on the crumpled shirt on your floor coming in for the interview. You've put some thought into it, and you're there to impress, that hiring manager. I think that's really key. So, in your mind, say you don't know, you have no clue. What would be the standard you would say if someone's going, I'm really not sure about this environment with this job, with this company, maybe, there's not a lot of research they can have. What would be your go-to recommendation in terms of, the top half, bottom half, shoes? What would you say? Err on the side of caution, always wear this.
So I would definitely say a really nice contemporary style of pant. So that might be a beautiful sort of tapered ankle length pant. a really nice blouse with that, and then erring on the side of caution, throw on a blazer as well. Again, doesn't need to be a matching blazer to the pant. We can have something that's a little bit more contemporary and fashion forward. A heel, again, we don't need a really, really high heel, but at least something that is, like a medium block heel going up to something higher if you can feel like that. And accessories. I think we need as women, we actually, accessories are a really important part of an outfit to actually pull that all together. And a really nice, and a handbag, you're going to be walking into that interview with a handbag as well. So you want to make sure that that is, again, part of your outfit and part of what you're considering as part of your overall outfit.
So I'm curious, because I think that's a really great point you brought up there, accessories. So what's the balance? What's that balance of accessories where, you have the right accessories to complement the outfit versus too many accessories where they're just becoming a distraction in that interview, making too much noise, or just, too blingy, so that, people are like, I can't even pay attention because there's so much going on here.
Yes. So they should be more on the understated side, definitely, right. Particularly in those sort of more corporate environments. Anything that's going to be making noise, anything that's moving a lot as you're talking, like I talk a lot with my hands. So, if I've got loads of bangles on that are, jangling away, that's going to be super distracting. So it should just be something that is understated, again, that, pulls together your outfit. A lot of women have a favorite pair of earrings, or they have a ring that they love to wear. And I think that, again, can just kind of almost be a piece that sort of, helps to bring you a bit of confidence. Yeah, no, that's
great, fantastic advice there. Now, I know you and I are in different parts of the world here, so our store's a bit different, but brands are brands, and brands are kind of universal and, cross-continent. So what if you're recommending certain brands to women out there to look at these specific brands for outfits for upcoming job interviews, what brands are your go-tos?
So if we're talking, and I'm in Australia, and I know you're in Canada, so I'll mention some brands here, Clark, that I know are kind of available in both our parts of the world. So some brands that I like for really smart tailored pieces would be Hugo Boss, would be Heary, and Taylor's great. Reese are also really, really good. I also love Zara, particularly for blazers and other sort of really clean tailored pieces. And they also, they can be really great for if you do want something that's a little bit more fashion forward, and that would be appropriate for the environment that you're going into. Basics, Everlane can be great if you're just after like really great, jeans, tees, they're wonderful. And the other thing that I would say is, if you're not sure, go to a department store where you've got a range of brands, you've got a range of, different styles, and you've got a range of price points. So, somewhere like Nordstrom's, or, here we've, got, two big department stores here. And, I'll often go shopping there with my clients because you have a really broad range and you've got a lot of different price points that you can shop and choose from.
No, that's fantastic, and I think that's exactly it with stores like that you have those broad ranges. There are the discount stores as well that you can look at. One of the things that for me personally, when I'm looking for fashion, if I'm on a budget, is kind of that just at the end of season where things are going on sale, and it's kind of end of summer season or end of winter season, and items are going on sale. You can usually find a lot of great discounts for items at whatever store you're shopping at to help you get to where you need to be, but at a much discounted rate, especially for those who are on a budget. Anything else you'd say for those women out there who are on a budget looking, they don't have thousands to spend, they've got, one shot, one outfit, any kind of budget advice you would give there?
So I think, there are some great brands out there Zara would be one example. Mango would be another example that is at a lot more accessible price point. So is H&M at a lot more accessible price point. So what you want to do is, go to those brands that are more accessible and have a look at the items that, aren't the fashion forward items, that are the more, slightly classically styled items, because they're often the items that you can't really tell, how expensive or not they are, and they do have some wonderful fabrics still, so have a look. There's often really good, cheaper or more budget friendly substitutes, and particularly in fabrics and things, for more expensive items. So I would just go for the more classically styled and tailored items from those stores. And typically with those items, you won't get sick of them, and they'll last the distance. You might then, pair that classically styled top with a slightly different pant. It's going to be a really versatile item in your wardrobe.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So kind of switching back to interviews quickly here, and after we've gone through all the different fashions and brands and how to accessorize depending on the environment that you're applying to, the different types of organizations and industries you're applying to, we're now in this world, still kind of in the pandemic, but post-pandemic, where a lot of interviews are being conducted by Zoom. The video interviews, either Zoom, Teams, other sort of video formats. You and I are having this conversation by video as well, connecting us. So what do you recommend to people who are having their interview conducted via Zoom or video? Do you recommend changing anything about their wardrobe and what they wear to that meeting, or is it the same?
I think with a lot of interviews online, you have the option to dress a level down. So if you were going in face-to-face, perhaps you would do the blazer, and maybe for the online interview, you're quite comfortable just doing a blouse. However, I say to, my clients, if you put that blazer on and that gives you more of a sense of confidence and you feel good in that, then you should wear that blazer. And I think that, it's kind of like one of those power outfits, right? When we do put that on, we can feel that sense of power and confidence. But I don't think it's absolutely necessary on a Zoom interview like it would be if you were going into a corporate office.
Right. And I agree with that. It's that confidence, so you can dress down slightly, but I would never recommend to a client that, it's okay to wear your pajama bottoms and then throw on a shirt and tie above that, because I think that plays into your psyche a little bit. And I think it plays into confidence. And I think if you have that outfit that, portrays well, even though they can't see it on the other side of the screen, you're wearing it and you feel good in that outfit. And again, it comes back to that confidence.
I think it's all about the mindset that your clothing creates. And we know that, like, there's so many studies have been done about, the connection between our mindset, how we think, how we feel, how we act, when we put certain clothing on. So I think, yes, you still want to absolutely be wearing something that puts you in the mood of I'm here for an interview, right? And really does get you in that state of mind.
Yeah, put you in that interview zone, that framework where okay, I'm here to interview, I'm here to impress, and I know I've got the outfit on. They can't see all the outfit, but I know I've got it on, and I feel good in that, and my confidence will come through. So we're winding down time. I have taken up so much of your time today, and I appreciate every minute of it. Any last minute tips that you would say, here are some other things to think about, or have we covered it all?
I think, look, with interviews, I think it's really important to be able to infuse your personality into what you wear. I think if we meet someone and they've got just a black suit on and a black blouse and nothing else, and it all kind of looks a bit stock standard, I don't think we are giving people enough of an insight into who we are. So I think our clothing offers us such a powerful opportunity to sell our story, to communicate our story. And so I think really figure out who you are and look at how you can express that through your clothes. Maybe you have a favorite signature color. I have a client who, wears orange. She wore it to her interview. She loves it. It's like her brand kind of color now. Find those signature colors that maybe really, reflect who you are, feel really amazing. Maybe it's, you've got some signature jewelry, like you love statement earrings, and that can become a part of who you are. Or, I think it's really try and use your clothing, I think, in a way that communicates who you are, because at the end of the day, it's an extension of your personal brand, and you're going to communicate something whether you like it or not through your clothing. So I think, use it to actually express who you are, and that's going to give, the company that you're interviewing with even more of an insight into who you are, and, they're going to know, and you're going to know if you're right for that role.
Well, I absolutely love what you just said there, because it is all about that connection to the interviewer. Not only is the interviewer interviewing you to determine if you're the right fit, you're also, as the applicant, interviewing them to see if they're the right fit for you. And so by having a bit of your personality with your wardrobe that you're wearing to the interview is a really key thing. And it's those little things that you might not think about, but those things make that connection. And I work with clients obviously on telling their story in the interview, how to tell their story and how to make that connection. But also with the fashion and the things you're wearing to that interview, those little personality things are things that the interview goes, oh, I like that. I like that about this person, and I connect with this person because of the way they're portraying themselves. And I think I can really work with this person, and hopefully vice versa for the applicant as well, to be able to determine that about the interviewer or the hiring manager. So it's about making that connection, because fit for the role and fit and connection with the person you're going, or the people you're going to be working for, is so key that you determine that before you say, I accept the job. So yes, I totally agree. Wear things that, make sure that your personality comes out. Interviews aren't just a robotic process where you speak only when spoken to. It's a two-way conversation, and that conversation is not just verbal, but is nonverbal cues as well. And part of what you're wearing are those nonverbal cues that people pick up on, to learn a little bit about your personality and go, yeah, that person seems like the right fit for our organization and for working with me. I think it's just really, really great advice. Lucy, we have spent so much time together. I appreciate everything you've said today. I think you're amazing. I think the people watching this video are going to think you're amazing. So how do they get a hold of you? Where do they find Lucy, and how do they start working with you?
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Clark. So stylerisers.com is my website. I've got a range of programs on there. So I do a coaching program with a group of women. I also work one-to-one in private coaching online and virtually. So I work with women all over the world, and I'm on all the socials. So LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, you can catch me there as well.
So great. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. We will be, I'm sure, talking again, and all you women out there who follow me on YouTube, who see me on LinkedIn, who are looking for fashion advice, Lucy is your style expert. Get a hold of her now. You will not regret it. Thanks, everybody. Until next time, keep getting hired.